Hi guys, Rachel, Spunky Misfit Girl here, and you wanted to know how to make the faux leather cover out of a manila folder that I made for this journal here that we've been doing some projects in. And so that's what we're gonna do today. So I am using these truly manila folders from Pendaflex. So they are manila. If you have one that's that kind of green, dark, like an olive or brown or some combination of those two, that would actually be better because you wouldn't necessarily have to paint as much as I did. But this is what I used to ultimately get this. So the first thing that we're gonna do is cut a piece to size. I just actually cut two from the same folder so that I'll do two here as we go. And the first thing to do is just submerge it in water. And I've just put together a little jelly pan here that I'm just gonna slide this guy into. And I just wanna make sure that he kind of gets all the way down in there. And this is very full and it's a little tilty, so I'm trying not to spill water everywhere. And it is a little bit, my table's apparently a little slanted. So I'm just gonna try to make sure that this gets kind of all wet and it's all covered. And I'm gonna let that sit for about 30 minutes. I might turn it over one more time in between. But I will come back to the video once that has been soaked for a good solid 30 minutes. So once you're done with your soaking, you're gonna wanna take it out of the water, which I did off camera because my tray was so messy. And I'm gonna just dab it a little dry here. And then we're gonna crumple. And we want to do this a little carefully because it's a little, the paper's a little soft when it's wet like this. And it can be really easy to tear it, but we want to give it that nice crumpled look. So I'm going to undo it and then crumple it up again from other directions and just kind of nicely crumple, crumple, crumple. And do that again and again until I'm kind of happy with how all my edges look and things. Kind of spilled some water on my desk a little here. The other thing you're going to want, if you're looking at making this, is some kind of gel medium to finish it when you're done. So just look into that if you haven't got any. So I have this golden is my favorite. They're a little more on the expensive side, but they're very high quality and I've been using them for years and years and years for all kinds of different art projects. This is gloss, which is not normally what I use, and I'm actually gonna get some matte medium to be on the way. So the gloss is the shine is gonna make it shiny. The matte is the dull finish, which is what I want for a junk journal, of course. So that'll be after the paint. So whatever you want to use for painting this guy, have that on hand. And then also some kind of gel medium. I think we'll do this one more time. We're pretty happy with it. And then once you're done with all your crumples, you're gonna wanna just lay that guy out flat to dry. And that's gonna just kind of depend on your climate and your home and Probably if I wanted to speed it up, I could set it outside in the warm Texas sunshine, but I think I'm just gonna let that be. It might be a bit before I get back to the rest of this video, but I will come back when we're dry and we will paint for the next step, which will be a little trickier. I'm gonna have to think about how to set that up because normally I would spray in my kitchen sink. But I do have a little shoe box that I turned into a little spraying box. So maybe we'll dig that out and you'll get to see how I do that. So we'll come back when we're dry. Okay, so we have our cover dried with its ink. And now we're gonna buff up this ink a little bit. This one is looking a little more gray than this previous one. And I don't know if that's just because this is like kind of after everything I did with the paint or what. I'm actually not sure. It's been a while since I made this and I didn't record all the steps. So we're gonna see what we can do here. I think it does tend to look better after it dries. I was experimenting a little bit the other night with some of this, and when I was putting it on, I wasn't really happy with it, but it looks a lot nicer now that I've dried it. So I'm using Golden. Golden is a really high quality brand. It's expensive. You don't have to use it. You can get some kind of cheap acrylic in brown, totally up to you, but this is just what I happen to have on hand. This color is Burnt Umber Light. It's basically just a nice dark brown. And I'm using a sponge to put it on. I experimented with a whole bunch of stuff last night and I found that the sponge was the thing that I was the happiest with. So this is my little handled like sponge brush here because it gets onto those sort of top where my crinkles are really nicely, right? Just like that. So I'm just gonna go over my whole cover with some of that. And I think generally you don't want to be shy about this. I think a good bit of it will be also just because I'm concerned about the grayness of how the ink turned out when it mixed with the Manila folder. So I think I'm going to take a fairly heavy hand with this paint because I really do want my finished product to come out more brown looking, like that. And that is what I was happy with on my other one of these that I made. Oop, that was maybe a little bit overdone in that corner there, but that's okay. What's great about this is that actual leather has variations. And so getting some variations in here will just make it look more better. Okay. Yeah, that's already looking nicer. I think I'm gonna do a little bit more on top of what I did over here. I was experimenting with a little bit of tea dye distress oxide spray too, which really didn't work. Just left me with some kind of white spots there. So I'm liking how that's looking. I'm gonna do my other side as well. With the previous version of this, I only really did the outside edges because I was thinking I might put pockets or even end papers on this, but now I don't know. I don't know if I want to cover up this pretty leather look. And also, it's not the sturdiest of covers. It really isn't. It is much more like a soft cover feel to it. It's just not really a hard cover. And I don't know if I want to overload it with pockets and such right on that poor cover. So basically, to get some lighter spaces here, I'm just getting that paint soaked up into the sponge and then using the sponge rather than like refreshing the paint every time, and then just when I do refresh the paint, some of those are heavier spots, and it's kind of giving me nice variations here. See, like that, I can get a. So if you want to keep it all to a minimum and not have heavy spots like that, just get it all soaked up into your sponge and then just use the sponge lightly over the top like that, and that looks really cool. Or if you prefer a heavier look everywhere, you can use way more paint and get it heavy everywhere. This is a kind of fun, up to you project, and I'm just letting kind of nature take its course. Woohoo! So we're gonna go ahead and let this dry. This probably doesn't have to take 24 hours, but I might do it just to be safe. And then we will come back and we will seal it. Okay, I'm back with my dry paint. And this guy is still looking a little bit gray for my tastes. So I thought I would do a round of inking and just go over things with my walnut stain and my dauber a little bit too, just to see if that would brown it up a little bit more. I'm hoping also that maybe when I put my my sealer on it, that's going to mellow out that color a little bit more too. I really think that I'm doing everything I did on the other one, but this one is looking, I don't know, somehow it just has a little bit more of a gray tone to it than my other one. So hopefully this can help a little bit. So pretty much time for a new foamy guy in the bottom here. I don't know if you can see that, but I think I'm losing pieces. So I'm just trying to dig into these spots that are below the mountains of the crinkles and give it a little bit. I don't know that it's going to work all that well, but okay. So the next thing to do, once you're happy with your paints and your crinkles and everything, we're at this stage, we're going to seal it. And I'm using for this golden medium soft gel matte, acrylic medium, and it is a bit expensive, but I've tried other things, and I just don't like other gel mediums as well. This is really nice consistency. It dries well, and I just think that things come out better. I'd rather use this than Mod Podge, for example. I'd rather use it than Liquitex, which is too thin. And so I'm just gonna take my rag here, I think. I think that's the best way to do this. And use my gel medium to cover my whole cover. And I think the reality is that this may actually make that brown pop a little more and make this feel a little bit less gray toned. It does kind of make it look a little shiny almost, which is fine because that is what leather looks like. Yeah, I think this step really, really kind of makes the difference in terms of giving this that look that we want of that almost leather-like feel. I don't know how well you're going to be able to tell on camera, but I can see the sort of huge difference that it's making just as I put this on here. It's almost gold looking in some of those areas there. I just want to, and it does look like I'm pulling some of the color off too as I go, which is fine because it's got loads on there. Yeah, it does really, look at that. You can maybe see, but this is where like it's looking a little gray. It's looking much more brown and or almost olive green there. And it looks much better. I'm happy with that. You can probably use other gel mediums though if you don't want to get something as expensive as Golden. I will say that for me, the quality of Golden is just top notch. And it's definitely making a difference to my color, and really my whole look of this thing is really transformed with this step with the gel medium. So I'm going to do the other side as well. I think we don't have to wait really too long for this to dry. It's a little sticky, but it's not wet. I don't think it's going to hurt anything if I just go ahead and do this side as well. And then once I've got everything covered nice and well, I'm going to let this guy dry again, probably for a good 24 hours. And then I will come back and we will finish up and it will be ready to use as a journal cover. So I will see you when we're done and dry. Okay, I'm back with my dry faux leather cover, and I actually think it doesn't need anything more done to it. I might opt to do a second coat of my gel medium, but this is actually really pretty great where it's at. You can see that the paint, it cracks a little bit, and you can kind of see that some of the folders starting to show through, but I think that's okay. It like actually gives it a nice, very textured look, and I'm really pleased with this. I think this actually turned out better. I think on this one, I experimented with a Liquitex gel medium, which was cheaper, and it turned out fine. I like it, but I actually think that this one with the golden gel medium turned out even better. And I'm really happy with it. I'm gonna get some of the green ones and try using those and see how that turns out so that I don't have to paint it and I don't have to worry about the manila folder showing through. And it'll be a lot easier. But I think that is it. And I hope you guys enjoyed and run ahead with making your own faux leather covers for your junk journals. It turns out as a really fun alternative. I really don't know what I'm gonna do, what else I'm gonna do with that cover yet, but journal's in progress. And thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.